They are going on their soul's journey, and I'm just here to assist. It's not this father child thing, it's soul helps soul. Some of the most difficult people in our lives, in my life, have been my catalyst for growth. Yin is the darkness. I mean, darkness is not always bad because it's out of the darkness, the female energy, out of the womb, out of the dark energy that things are created. It's taking the chaotic energy and bringing it into form. Yes.
We actually drain. If you have a true gift, so I do healing. If I heal someone and sadly they are more hurt than what they say, so mine's more soul in healing, I can then be in bed for a week for some people because it can take me down that much. Wow. It's all I can say to that. Wow, lovely. Absolutely love it. Oh, and I think this is one thing that everyone wants. If we're honest, everyone wants to feel more spiritually connected to something. Hey sparklers, how are we doing? So as you know, I am a clairvoyant Hellenist witch and multiple of things here. I have got the lovely Bill with me today, and he has wrote the book Awakening to Ourselves. It's available on Amazon, so I'm going to let him introduce himself. So Bill, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name is Bill Powler. I'm just another dude out here in the world, but I've been desiring to know God since I was a little child, sitting in a pew in Catholic Church, asking the statues to blink or do something to let me know that God's real. And after this 30-year journey and a lot of different spiritual experiences, I decided to write a book that's practical, that things and awarenesses that we can do in our daily lives just to deepen our spirituality and to realize that we're all animated by the Spirit of God.
Wow. It's all I can say to that. Wow, lovely. Absolutely love it. Oh, and I think this is one thing that everyone wants. If we're honest, everyone wants to feel more spiritually connected to something. And I think that is one of the most important things that we need to sort of realize in life. And this is why I love different guests like yourself on here. Absolutely love it. Can I ask, why did you title your book Awakening to Ourselves?
Uh, well, Jesus said that the kingdom of God is at hand. Okay. And what I believe that Jesus meant by that, when you say at hand, the hand's right here. Okay. Uh, but what Jesus meant by that was that we are all animated by the Spirit of God. So in the world wants to teach you to go to church and go do this and go do this. But I think, and those are all good things. I'm not saying that religion and spiritual practices aren't good things. They are. But it's designed, they're designed to bring our focus back to ourselves because the word soul comes from the word anime in Latin, which means to animate. And so our spirit, our soul is animated by the Spirit of God. And and this is a whole nother theory, but when we when we come into the world as babies and you look at a baby and I go, aw, because a baby's pure. Their spirit's pure. It's just come from the other side. But what happens is in this world, we get mud put on us by false beliefs and fears and traumas. And so the walk to spirituality is actually a walk of subtraction, of awareness of our fears, awareness of the false beliefs we've been taught, awareness of the traumas that we've gone through, and releasing those and looking back at our powerful spirit. And we are just like Aladdin and the genie in that lamp. We're these great, big, powerful spirits, and we're in this itty bitty little lamp.
And that is so true. And as I was saying to you before, so I see souls. That is what I do. And I was speaking to Tammy the other day, and I said to her, I said, have you ever met a child that's a dark soul? And she went, only once. And I says, isn't
Wow.
it a strange how children under the age of 5, it's rare to meet a child with a dark soul. But over the age of 5, where we start to make our personality, bring ourselves in, due to the environment, that can darken and that trauma can cause such evil things to happen to our soul and happen to the way we're meant to be. So I don't believe we're meant to be evil. I believe it's the environment around us that causes
Oh,
it. Does that? I'm hoping that makes sense. So yeah, I completely wow. Yeah, that is so like, and I'm loving this because me as a Hellenist and you yourself as a Christian, I'm loving this because it just shows how they can interlink these beliefs. And I think this is important for everyone to understand is the soul is from God's. Well, for me it's from God's, for yourself it's from God. And we are trapped, our souls are sort of trapped in this tiny body
right.
ready to be released. It is so true, so true. Sorry, lovely. So why did you write your book and what is your core mission?
Uh, I wrote my book because when I started my spiritual journey 30 years ago, all this stuff wasn't out on YouTube. All these things weren't available. Okay. And I've read, I've literally read over 1,000 spiritual books. Uh, and so I went back to all the mystics and all through that. But my spirit kept telling me, write one book that's really practical so that somebody can read it and kind of go from maybe going to church and not know why they're going to church to understanding why we're here, what's important, and what are some simple steps that you can put in your daily life to become more spiritual. And so my book is there's a lot of information in it, but it's very much about practicality.
See, I love that because I remember when I was younger, my followers know I was strict Christian. And I remember when I was younger, I only ever actually had one priest that told me God was with me all the time. Like, only one priest. And it wasn't about going to church. Like, this priest was the only one that taught me it wasn't about going to church. It wasn't about being in that church. And that sort of, for me, did send me on another journey because I was a bit like, hold on, I've been brought up to believe that the only time God's truly 120% with me was when I was sat in church.
Uh,
So I love the fact that you're giving people that advice that actually there's ways that you can do it when you're not in church, when you're not, you know, at the place where you should be worshipping. I do love that because I think a lot of people, I don't want to use the term misconception because I don't think that's quite right, but they do misconcept the church going part of religion, if that
yes,
if that makes sense. Like, I feel evil for saying that, like that they, but I do feel a lot of Christians sort of misconcept that you have to be in church to feel close to them. And I know that is a thing that we often hear them say actually, like, so it's really good that your book's giving them guidance on that because I think for me, I'm the same as yourself. I went on this journey sort of back in the 90s. So it's sort of like to hear I may have actually gone on a different journey. If I had someone like yourself around me, I may have gone on a different journey. And I'll hold my hands up to you guys there. I may have done because I was the same. I read thousands and thousands of books trying to find myself, trying to find where I belonged. So, wow, I think this, especially for, I've got quite a few Christian followers who are stuck in a similar position. So, do definitely check out Bill's book on Amazon, lovelies, because this sounds actually what you guys need. So you talk about no matter what religion you are, there are three core beliefs you think we should have. What are them three core beliefs?
I have to think about that for a second. Uh, well, the first one is that God animates us, okay? And the Spirit of God lives on it in us, which I've already said like three times already. But that once you start realizing that you're animated by the Spirit of God, and you really kind of accept that and you're aware of that at all times, it gives you a different power. It gives you a different view. Okay. We're the vessels moving through this realm, this planet, uh, and knowing that we're realizing and knowing that we're really, really powerful allows us to have the belief that we're powerful and then allows us to embody that power. Okay.
Wow, I have to admit, so I was like, I got a bit engrossed in that because if I'm honest, we are very similar. By the way, guys, I'm actually finding this shocking how Bill's um this is really similar to mine. I do apologize, but it's shocking me in some ways because I'm a bit like, wow, because that is what we believe. We believe that Athena brought us to life, but Zeus gave us the power. He gives us the power. So for me, in some ways, it's like, wow, hearing this, especially as someone that was strict Christian, I've never been taught it this way. So hearing this is like, wow, it's quite shocking in some ways because we think of Christianity the way we're taught as a child through the hymns, through the reading of the Bible and stuff like that. We don't think of this side of Christianity. So for me, it's sort of like taking me off my feet a bit. So I do apologize.
Wow.
So you talk in your book about how we forget our awesome power. Can you explain that?
Um, yes, but if you don't mind, I want to jump back. I can't remember my three things, but I remember my second thing. And that is when you realize that you're eternal and you really, really think that you're going to live forever, okay, your perspective on this earth changes greatly. And like when I look at my children, I've got six children, two ex-wives. Um, Took me two wives to get six children. Nobody would put up with me any longer than that. Uh, but when I look at my children and I see things, I try to implant in them just small ways to change their lives. But, I've had hard times with my children, like everybody does. As teenagers, they kind of go off in the deep end. I went off in the deep end. And I've had to make hard decisions with my children sometimes when I thought, and I try to stay out of their lives, but when their decisions affect me or affect the rest of my family, and I have to step in, my some of my children have distanced themselves from me at different points in time. But when I have an eternal view that they are going on their soul's journey, and I'm just here to assist. It's not this father child thing, it's soul helps soul. And so that eternal view allows you to stay calm and to see things from 10,000 feet as opposed to just reacting. I'm big into choosing to act and as opposed to reacting to situations.
Completely agree. So it's one thing that people are really shocked with me with my children. My girls, I'm really blessed, are really well behaved, and everyone's so shocked. And people are shocked when I say, oh, they've got certain ages that they're allowed to swear, or I allow my children to drink. People are really shocked and they go to me, Amy, why? And I went, I'm here to guide them. If I allow them to have their first drink with me, or I allow them to have their first swear word with me, they won't want to use it as much because they're going to think, well, why am I swearing? It doesn't have as much effect. And this is the thing that I think people forget. We are here to guide our children, not say, don't do that, do it this way. We are here to go, right, that's what you want. Okay, okay, I'm going to let you get hurt. But mummy's going to be here or daddy's going to be here to pick up the pieces.
Beautiful.
And people are so shocked at that. They're so, so shocked. And I think that is because that is why I was like, yes, I'm on the understanding we are eternal. I've been with two of my children for the last five past lives. And one of my children I've been with for the last three past lives, but not as my child.
Right.
And this is why I say to people, I obviously didn't quite guide her right in the last past life. So they've gone, right, she's now got to be your child. You're trying to guide her, but not quite right. She's now got to be your child.
Mhm.
And I think this is one of the things that I love about that because we are here to guide. And I think people need to understand there's a difference between guiding and sort of telling, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Makes a lot.
So I do love that. I hold my hands up because I am very much on the same belief. So we believe that we're reincarnated over and over again, and the things that are our spirits are actually our memories. So part of the soul is taken, and the memories stay for me, obviously in the meadows, but for yourself in heaven, that part stays there. And for me, I love that to be able to speak to someone that understands that we are eternal. Our souls are. We're just recycled
Yes, exactly.
until we get it right.
Well, we that's a long conversation.
That one is
That one
lovely.
is.
So you talk in your book about how we forget our awesome power. Can you explain that, lovely? We'll go back to that question.
Um, it comes back to this baby with the mud on it. Okay. Um, there's a lot of negative that we're told we can't do, or things that we should do. And so we take these things as a child and we build this structure around us that limits our self beliefs. Um, like one of the tools that I tell people all the time that they need to watch, which I try to watch, but I still do myself, is negative self talk. I
Yes.
mean, we say, well, I'll try to do this. What does trying mean? Trying means that maybe you're going to do it, maybe you're not. Okay. Or, I can't believe I'm this lazy, or I can't believe I didn't get this accomplished, or whatever it is. But when we step into, I've got a chapter in my book called I Am. And actually, let me see if I can put my hands on it real, real quick. Because this is, to me, it's very beautiful. I think it's my second chapter. Yes. So when we say I am, we recognize our godness. Okay. Um, so if you close your eyes right now and say I am,
I
and
am.
recognize that God is within us, okay, you can start to claim your godness. And then the second thing, well, you recognize your godness. And then if you close your eyes and you claim your godness, not only do I recognize, but I'm claiming my godness. And then the third thing is, um, oh, recognizes and claiming our godness in the present moment. So when you close your eyes, you say, I am God right now. Then you can begin to reclaim your power. And if you realize that God animates you, animates me, animates all of us, God is a creator. God loves unconditionally. God forgives, and I could go off on forgiveness and what forgiveness really means. It means giving in advance, forgive. So God gives us free will and forgives in advance because we're here to make mistakes, to learn how to be more divine, okay? Because we come from the light, okay? This is straight out of the Kabbalah, basically. And it's also the Adam and Eve story. We come from the light. When we are joined with the light of God, all we know is the light of God. All we know is the Garden of Eden. But when we choose to separate from God, not truly separate, but be veiled, okay? Because in this world, we're veiled from fully from
Yeah.
the light, right? The light's in us, but we're still veiled from it by our bodies. Our bodies are actually what veil us because we can only see so far, smell so far, all these things. Smell so good. But when we step away from the light, then we get to play with the different aspects of divinity. And then we get to truly recognize how powerful we can become. And so by being in these bodies, our limitations actually push us toward our greatness.
See, this is where, for me, I hold my hands up. I do love this because, in some ways, I hold my hands up. When you were talking about that straight away, I was like, "Oh my goodness, the Garden of Eden!" Straight away, I was like, it's one of my. I hold my hands up. It's one of my favorite stories. People are really weird when I say that because it shows the birth of humanity and is actually, strangely enough, similar to our story in Hellenic. And for me, I love that because in a way our beliefs are the same. Like we've got to be hubris, so we've got to be prepared to forgive. We've got to have a connection with God, which is charis. So it's sort of like I'm sat here going, this is so similar. I'm like, so I do apologize. It's sort of taken me more that sense because I think, and this is what I'm hoping you guys are getting value out of this, because we're brought up strict. When you're brought up strict Christian, you don't think of the spiritual side of it. You only think of really the Ten Commandments. You don't really think of like the spiritual side. You know, you've got to forgive everything that someone does to you and stuff like that. Whereas what I sort of teach everyone is forgive your past. And people are like, what do you mean forgive your past? And I'm like, for me, it's the gods and goddesses have already forgiven your past. You've now got to forgive it. You've got to let go of that trauma.
Right.
So for me, it's like listen to the similarities is just wow, because we're not taught the spiritual side of it. When you're in that strict Christian,
Right.
everyone's going by the Bible, every word on the Bible. We're not taught this side. So I'm actually, yeah, I'm sort of flabbergasted. I'm sort of listening to every word and I'm like, wow, yeah, we're not, yeah. So I do apologize, lovely.
And I'm going to interrupt you 1 second. When we can learn to forgive ourselves, then we can learn to forgive others. But until we learn to forgive ourselves, until we stop judging ourselves, then we can't forgive others, and we'll continue to judge each other. And that's what in the Bible it says, you know, take the log out of your own eye before you take the splinter out of somebody else's. Something like that. It's us acknowledging that we're already forgiven and God does not judge us.
See, this is one of the things that for me, I have enjoyed about this conversation. Now I'm like, oh, I'm trying to remember the questions, but at the same time, I'm like, no, I feel like this needs to be stepped on more. Because as I say about forgiving the past, as you say, that frees us to stop judging others, that frees us to stop that behavior, as in, not being able to forgive. Like I've had a quite a traumatic childhood, and people sit there and they go to me, "How are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm okay because I've forgiven my past." And they're like, "How have you forgiven all these monsters towards you?" And I've gone, "I've not forgiven their actions." I says, "I've forgiven my actions in the past that may have caused their actions, but I forgive them as people, their time in my life. I've forgiven that." And people are like, how? And I think this is one of the major things that every religion seems to miss. It's in there, it's in the Bible, it's in the Quran, it's in the Torah, it's in everything. And we ignore it. We concentrate on the judgment side, on the hate side.
Right.
And that's, for me, no matter who your God is, that's not what they want us to concentrate on. They want us to concentrate on the love side. They want us to concentrate on the kindness side. And I think that's why I sort of wanted to extend on that, because I think that's amazing. What you've said is so true to me. And it's quite a shock. I think you could sort of most probably feel it with a little bit of an empath, because it's quite an eye opener to see that someone's actually seen the love side of the Bible rather than actually all the certain scriptures that don't forgive and don't give kindness and don't bring love. And forgiving is such a massive, not just from God, but from ourselves as well, is such a massive thing.
You asked about stepping into your power. When you can forgive yourself and when you quit judging yourself, I'm talking about me, I'm talking about all ourselves, okay? We can drop this heavy burden. And once you drop the heavy burden, the power, the mud comes off and the light expands and the energy expands and things become more magical.
And they do. And this is one thing that people find strange. They're like, I was speaking to someone the other day and I was like, oh, yeah, I used to be like a 50K job. And now I'm lucky to make ends meet. And people were like, turned around and said to me, and it really shocked me, if I'm honest. They were like, but why did you do that? And I went, I'm happier now than what I was doing that.
Yes.
And I'm more free now, and my soul, like I can expand my soul white light for miles if I wanted to. And this is what I think, when we're sent on these spiritual paths, this is one of the most important parts of the path, is learning to forgive ourselves, learning to love ourselves. Like, I know it sounds a bit hippie with the self-love. Everyone's like, oh, here she goes, sip hippie talk. But it is so true. If we actually, and I'm not talking about this self-care like people go, eat right, do this right, do that right. It's actually physically loving yourself, being able to look in the mirror and go, do you know what? I am bloody awesome.
Yes.
And do you know what? I did that mistake. I've owned it. I can move
Right.
past it. It's being able to do that, I think, is a massive thing, because to me, there isn't many now that could do that.
Right.
There's not many that can. And this is where the soul gets darker for me when I meet people, is when, and I'm going to shock people here, but a lot of narcissists are actually really just procasting how they're feeling on the inside.
Yeah, I believe
And
that.
a lot of people are really shocked when I say that, but and they have a lot of self doubt, a lot of self hate and stuff. So they project it onto us. So the one thing that I find is they actually try to take our white light. They're like, I want your white light because
Yes.
it feels good. You feel happy. So they're trying to drag at our white light. And for me, it's like I just put my boundary up. I'm like, no, my white light's coming up as a boundary to protect myself. And people are like, but how do you manage that? How do you do that? And I'm like, because I know they can't help it. I know this is stuff that's happened to them from a child.
Sure.
They just never got the right guidance. They're a soul stuck in the wrong body at the wrong time.
Right.
And when they go to wherever it is that we get cleansed, they will come back to Earth for another chance. And people are really shocked at me by that because I think people don't understand actually how people can sympathize with someone that's that evil. But the Bible teach, even the Bible, like I'm talking about the Bible as if I believe in it. I hold my hands up, but I just don't worship it. This is something that the Bible teaches everyone. The Quran teaches everyone. The Torah, any religion. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Sorry, Bill.
No. So I got a bunch of stuff running through my head, but everybody does the best they can at any given time from their own perspective. Okay. And when we go back to the forgiveness thing, some of the most difficult people in our lives, in my life, have been my catalyst for growth. And so when you go back to that forgiveness thing, why should I forgive them? I should celebrate them.
Yes. See, this is one of the things that also people also miss is some of the most toxic people give us our biggest lessons.
Yes.
And they really do. And especially as I do an energy course, teaching people how to cleanse their energy and stuff like that.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And we were on that the other day, and I said to the lady, I says, look, I love you to pieces, but what you need to learn is you going through a rough time. What lessons are you being taught? She's Christian, so I use God for her. I'm like, what lessons is God teaching you? And she's like, none. And I'm like, no, hold on, there's going to be a lesson there. There's got
Right.
to be a lesson there. When, like, it shocks me when I'm having a bad time. I'm like, right, okay, which one of gods and goddesses feel I need a lesson?
Right.
Which one of you feels I need a lesson? And I go and meditate because I'm
Yeah.
like, there's obviously something I'm missing. And you're like, come on, come on, come on, Empress, you need to catch up here. Come on. And this is the thing that I think one of the things I always do believe in is no matter who your god or goddess or whoever you believe in, one of the things I am massively believing in is they bring these people for a reason. And we need to figure out what the lessons are to be
Yes.
able to move forward. Like, I know my bad childhood now is to help other people to forgive their childhoods.
Hmm. Yeah.
And this is a part of, we just have to learn that, if that makes sense, no matter who we are or what we're doing, if that makes sense.
I mean, how can you help other people grow if you haven't been through the experience yourself, right? And when you go through the experience, then you can guide people. Couple things I wanted to say too is we talk about mistakes. You know, when you're filming a movie, a mistake is a mistake. Okay. It's just a practice. It's all we're doing is practicing. Okay. So there's nothing to forgive. Okay. We're just practicing. Um, I had another concept there I wanted to say, but I want to jump into energy for just 1 second. Can I do
Yeah,
that?
of course. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things, oh, I know what I was going to say before, um, about people and kind of rubbing up against us and making us better. Rumi said, the darkness is our candle. Okay. And I've got a chapter in my book called Pain is Our Guide. Anytime we have pain, it's because we bumped up against something in the world that rubs something wrong, a misbelief that we have. So it's like when you bump into a rock, the rock doesn't hurt, you hurt, I hurt, right? And when we bump up against somebody that rubs us the wrong way, cuts in front of us, when we're driving our car, doesn't open the door, doesn't say, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Okay. We have to look in ourselves and go, why did that cause me pain? And if you continue with awareness, this is something you do daily all the time. With awareness, every time you have pain, you stop and look at it. And when you look at it with awareness over time, you don't even have to do anything. It'll dissolve. It's just the awareness is all you need.
Yes.
So,
This is actually something I hold my hands up. I do with my husband and I do with my children. When they start swearing and they're getting angry, I go, "Why are you angry?" And they'll look at me and I go, "What?" And I'm like, "Why are you angry?" I'm like, "Your energy is radiating anger. Why are you angry?" And they go, "Well, someone's put something in the wrong place." "Why are you angry about that? Just go and find it. What? Why is there so much anger about that?" And they look at me and go, "I don't know." And they just get on. And there's no more anger. They just get on. And people are like, and people always say to me, "Why would you do that? That's such a toxic thing to do." And I'm like, no, because it's made them question, why have they got that anger? What is that anger
right,
for?
exactly.
And I think that's an important part of retraining. As you were saying, you wanted to get into energy. So this is actually linking with that. This is actually part of retraining our energy because as
Yes,
someone that feels energy, I feel their anger before they even start screaming and shouting.
exactly.
So I'm like, "Oh no, please." And then I'm getting triggered. So I have to sort of put my boundary up. And this is one of the things that people don't realize, that there is some of us out there that can walk into a room and feel that energy there.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah.
So I did want to say this. Um, because this is important. My book, Awakening to Ourselves, but the subtitle is The Practical Art of Building a Spiritually Aware Life. And I want to come back to that word aware because when you start the path and you start working on yourself, literally, when things come up, when you have that pain, when you run into that rock, and you have pain, you run into the darkness, literally all you have to do is look at it with awareness. And if you look at it long enough with awareness, your spirit knows the truth. And that pain will disappear. And it's that simple.
So this is so true. So there's something, I actually did an interview with Dr. Agnishka and she does something very similar to me. So this is something, by the way, guys, that's practiced by Buddhists, the whole works, Christians, the works. When we're meditating, we actually breathe out all negative energy and we actually put it into a ball of light and watch it and then push it away. And people are like, "Why do you do that?" And I'm like, it's given us awareness that we do have negative energy in us, no matter how white lighted we are. And this is one of the things that I think people don't realize is having that awareness of it's okay to be light and dark at the same time. Something as simple as that
Yeah.
is quite shocking.
Yeah.
I
And
absolutely,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just saying, I absolutely love that.
And yin and yang, okay? Yin is the darkness, I mean, darkness is not always bad because it's out of the darkness, the female energy, out of the womb, out of the dark energy that things are created. It's taking the chaotic energy and bringing it into form.
Yeah, and also I personally, when people say to me that darkness is a bad thing, and like even anger, people say to me it's a bad thing, I'm like, no, it's not.
No.
Darkness and anger are sometimes the most bottom line to drive, like to
Yes.
push someone forward. They are the like bottom line. It's using that in the correct way.
Yes.
And this is I love that because that is the thing. Creativity can come from that ambition, can come from all that, the drive. I absolutely love that. I couldn't have said it better than myself because I talk about yin and yang quite a bit, and people just don't understand that it's being okay. We're okay. There is darkness. Acknowledge that. You know, I've got this massive ambition to be a YouTuber. We've all got that inside us. And I think that is one of the best. Oh, sorry, I absolutely love that.
No, it's all good. I was going to say something, but maybe it'll come back to me. Let's jump into energy real quick. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, one of my favorite stories in the Bible is Jesus is walking through the crowd, and his disciples are all around him. And there's the hemorrhaging woman, okay, who hasn't been healed. She can't, she's been to all type of doctors, can't get healed. And she says to herself, if I just touch his garment, I will be healed. And she touches Jesus' garment, and Jesus stops and he looks at his disciples and he says, who touched me? I felt the energy run from me. And his disciples look at him like he's crazy. He said, they go, Jesus, there's, 50, 100 people pressing against you. But he felt his energy run from him. Okay. So we are energetic beings in an energetic cosmos. It's just that simple.
See, this is so true. So basically, I point out a lot to people fakes. I am massive about pointing out to people fakes because we drain. So I am going to look at the camera for this because I know some people will be watching. Us with gifts, just as Jesus did, we drain.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
actually drain. If you have a true gift, so I do healing. If I heal someone and sadly they are more hurt than what they say, so mine's more soul in healing, I can then be in bed for a week for some people
Whoa.
because it can take me down that much. Even tarot
Rush.
reading, even tarot reading, it can do the same. Like
Yeah.
I can, if I do too much of it, it can take me off my feet. And this is because I just love the fact it's mentioned because I've actually hold my hands up. I forgot about that bit in the Bible. It is true. Us with gifts, we actually drain. Our energy drains. Even just going outside, if we're in a crowded place, like I know
Oh, yeah.
he was crowded by loads, we can drain fast. If we come along with someone that's got a negative spirit attached to him, so for us they're daemon, but I know in the Bible they're demons. That can be really hard because when you come up against that, your white light, natural white light, they're like, I want to latch to you. I
Right.
want to take that. So energy is sort of like really important. So I do love the fact you've brought up about that about Jesus because I never knew about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's so there we go, guys. Even Jesus drained.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I clean
Wow.
myself all the time because I'm just like you. I really don't do big crowds anymore. I meditate a lot. I ground. I sunbathe. I wind bathe. I do. Love to get in the water. I'm a Cancer. The water heals me, especially the ocean. The ocean just takes. I went to the waterfalls the other day, really cold waterfalls, and stood underneath them and let the water pour down over me and cleanse me. And there's a lot of quartz around, and I just felt completely light. And I went with a friend, and he felt that was the same way too. Felt completely light. And we usually go in the spring once a year, and we just got done. But you know,
Bill, can I ask, have you ever meditated in water?
have I ever meditated in water? Yes, absolutely.
I was going to say I'm a Scorpio, so I'm also a water sign. And honestly, guys, whatever sign you are, do meditate with whatever it is, because as Bill says, it is the most energy relief feeling you can feel. It is like it's just like someone's poured cold, refreshing water over your head on a boiling hot day.
Exactly.
It is most refreshing feeling for your soul.
I
It's
th-
strange.
I think it's I don't know if it's all of us, but I know the water signs especially. And I'm one of them. One of the places I go to what I call retreat. I break all my words down like mistake, recreation is recreate. Uh, Retreat means to step back, right? But I go to the ocean and I float in the ocean, in the salt water, and that ocean is so deep and fast and powerful, it just sucks all the negativity out of you.
And it really does. It's one of the most amazing, amazing, amazing things. But I think this is one thing that I think everyone needs in their spiritual awakening is to realize that they need to get back to nature
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
Is one of the most biggest parts of it. So sorry, lovely. I was just trying to figure out through the questions which ones we've covered and which ones we haven't, because
How
our
much
chats sort of covered it, most of
how
it.
much time are we going to stop in an hour? How much are we going to go?
Oh, I didn't even realise the time. I was so into our chat, I didn't even realise the time. I do apologise, lovely. So, guys, I didn't realise the time. So, Bill, would you mind giving us a little bit of a statement to go out on, if you don't mind?
Go out. Two practical things. Okay. Uh, One is maybe you've heard of Dr. Emoto and his um, how he looked at water, and when you speak ugly things to water, it changes the crystalline structure. Okay. When you say beautiful things to water, it changes the crystalline structure to a beautiful crystalline structure. And we're 60% water. So every time we say something to ourselves or to somebody else that's beautiful, we change ourselves and we change others. When we say ugly things and I can't do this and I'm not capable of this, we change our crystalline structure. When we say ugly things to our children or our friends, like you're stupid or whatever, we change their crystalline structure. So you have to watch that. The second thing is, anytime I often ask people, what did you spend the most time thinking about in the last 2 weeks? And people will tell me, okay? And what you think about is where your energy goes. And we only have so much energy in a day. And if you're empathic, you may have less because you gave a lot of it out one day, right? So watch what you think about, because what you think about is where your energy goes. If you're thinking about being flustered about something, then that's where your energy goes. If you're thinking about, I'm going to smile at everybody I see today, that's where your energy goes. So I think that's all I got. Well, I got a lot more, but that's all I got for today.
That is absolutely lovely. Thank you so much, Bill, for joining me. Bill's book will be linked below, so do check that out, guys. And I will link his YouTube and everything else as well below, so do check them out. Thank you again, Bill, so much for joining me. And don't forget, lovelies, keep sparkling.